Number one.
We're calling it the 4 pillars of energy. So there's going to be 4 of them. Number 1. Now, again, I do not want you to be like, oh, I knew this. Oh, I've heard that before. Okay. Because the things we're going to review, you may very well say, oh, I've heard this. I knew that. The reason why we're reviewing it is because
You're not doing it.
the basics is how you change your life. Okay. There's this fantastic book called, well, I don't know if fantastic is the right word. There's a book that has good principles in it. It's called Relentless. And it was written by a coach. He was the coach of Michael Jordan and a lot of other people like that. But I'm pretty sure this story comes from here. If it doesn't matter. But he talks about how if you're trying to help a basketball become a better basketball player, do you know what you work on? You work on the basics. You work on dribbling and footwork. There's nothing new. There's no like other advanced thing that you're practicing over here. It's the basic stuff. So I want you to use that analogy that we're going to talk about things that sound like, oh, these are the basics. But if you do not have the energy that you want, you have to go back to improving the basics.
And if you're not regularly doing these things well, not you, if we are not regularly doing these things well, I guarantee we're not tapping into energy we could have.
Right. And to know, you've heard us say this before, to know and not to do is really not to know. So if you're not doing it, you don't know this.
That's Stephen Covey awesomeness right there. I took Krav Maga from a guy, he was a 9th degree black belt. I let that sink in. And he said the very, very most basic class is footwork, and his most advanced class is footwork. And he's like, this, and what I cover in my most advanced class is the stuff I cover in my first class. Like that's where mastery's won. So, okay. With that,
there's some saying, some quote, and I can't think of it right now, but something like, it's not about doing 10,000 different kicks. It's about doing one kick 10,000 times.
Yeah.
Right? Anyways. Okay. So the first pillar, number 1, is prioritizing deep quality rest. Sleep. Okay. If you want to have more energy, you have to be getting good quality sleep. If you're not going to have the energy you want and need to do all the things you want and need to do. It's really just that simple. Baked in a podcast.
It's a sign that it's my turn to talk.
It's your turn to talk. Oh my gosh. Go ahead.
I don't know. Podcast.
A podcast on sleep. Talk about that.
So you guys know this, right? And a lack of sleep leads to impatience. It leads to emotional overwhelm.
Brain fog.
Yeah, the brain fog.
Lack of clarity.
Fatigue. You're easily irritable. You're not productive or effective. So much of it is just because we didn't sleep well. And a lot of not sleeping well. Now, right, you have kids, so you're going to be interrupted, and we get that. And you're going to have babies and toddlers. We totally get that. We're not talking about that. You're not like, well, I'm locking the door and keeping the toddler out to protect my sleep. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about, ladies, is the self-sabotage of our sleep. When we're staying up super late, scrolling or mindlessly doing things on screens and eating and I don't know, drinking whatever, caffeine or something or sugar right before bed. And then you're like, I can't sleep.
I can't fall asleep. Yeah. Well, and even I remember when my children were babies and younger, and it was just so tempting to, oh my gosh, they're sleeping now. So I'm going to, do something else. I'm going to be productive. and I realized that I had to prioritize sleeping because that helped me be a better mom. When I was prioritizing getting rest, when I could get rest, that was contributing to happier moods, more patience, all of that. So here's the key. We have to be more strategic. If we don't even think about sleep and we just like by default okay, I'm going to bed now, and then we toss and turn and we don't get restful sleep, we're not being strategic enough. So we have to be strategic about getting that sleep.
Okay.
So here are some
before we do this real quick,
ideas.
Everybody rate your quality of sleep on an average week. Go ahead, 1 to 10. 10 is like you're sleeping
like a baby.
No,
babies don't
sleep well. They mess themselves at night. They cry. They toss and turn. So there's no such thing as sleeping like a baby. That's terrible. So rate your sleep. How well are you sleeping?
So while you're thinking about that, I want you to think about what is one thing that is contributing to not getting as good a sleep as you would like. Is it bedtime routine? Is it waking up Having to pee in the middle of the night? Is it like, think about it. Like, what is disturbing my sleep?
So we're going to give
Okay,
you
good.
some simple strategies. These are easy to do, ladies, but they're easy not to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the challenge,
Yeah.
right?
All right. So one of them, of course, is setting an alarm or reminder to start getting ready for bed, right? Start that wind down process. Because I know for me, if I'm not paying attention, it's easy for me to be like on my phone till 9 or 10 at night. And because I know for me that has a direct effect. I can wind myself down to sleep with like a book or something. But if I'm on my phone, which is, well, one of the other ones, reducing blue lights, that's another one, reducing the blue lights, the screens at night, because for me, that directly impacts my sleep. If I read from a book, like quiets down my brain. And literally, I often will read myself to sleep. Like I just read until I'm tired and then I put the book away and I go to sleep. But if I'm looking at the screen, that's activating my brain and my brain's like busy, busy, busy. And then even when I close my eyes, it's almost like my eyes don't even rest, right? So I have to be strategic about, okay, I'm winding down for bed. So you can set an alarm for that or a reminder. So you begin that winding down process. And this is also great, of course, with your kids to begin that winding down process. So I'm preparing myself to sleep.
Yeah, that's one of the strategies I'm giving parents all the time in my coaching. Like set an alarm around 5 or 6. So you're reminding yourself, oh yeah, let's get dinner going, let's get the evening going, and so that we're getting into bed at a decent hour. Most common problem is like, oh man, we're not crawling to bed till 11 or 12. We're exhausted. We still want some alone time. Like, it's not working. Like, well, when are you starting your night? Well, we're busy and distracted, so we're not starting until 7 or 8. There's your problem. Set an
Yeah.
alarm to get ready for bed, and preferably, if you can, don't set an alarm to wake up.
Yeah, no, that's true. I don't set an alarm to wake up. We have to think about it that way, that maybe I think for a lot of people, our bedtime routine begins with making dinner, right? So we got to think about it that way. Like, okay, we're going to start dinner and then begin this evening routine that's more relaxing, more calming. It's not like crazy stimulating, right? So that we can prepare ourselves to sleep.
I think part of the battle is getting the family on board. 100%.
Yeah, right. And it makes a huge difference. Yep.
Yeah, we've kind of set the standard in our family of like, hey, we prioritize our sleep. We love life. We're getting up early. We're living. We're going to bed. And there's been many, many times like, hey, love you guys so much. We spent time together. And our teens, especially, they want to stay up later. I'm like, stay up later. These are the things you can do. You cannot interrupt anybody. You can't be on a device. You can't be wasting your life away. But if you're staying up, that's on you. We're going to bed. And we set that tone, and so we don't have any sleep issues in our family. Our kids go to bed at a good hour and they get plenty of sleep and they're up on their own. We don't have anybody sleeping in forever. We have no sleep problems because we lead the way with, hey, sleep is an absolute priority in our family, and this is how you do it.
Yeah. Okay. The other key to this, so again, the reminder is helping you begin that process, and that can start before dinner, that can start after dinner, whatever works for you. And then you want to intentionally have some sort of bedtime routine for yourself, not just for your kids. It's helpful for kids, of course. So having a bedtime routine for them is awesome, but you need your own bedtime routine because you're essentially cueing your body saying, we're preparing to sleep, right? Like we're going to do this every night. We're preparing ourselves to go to sleep. And so you need to create that sort of bedtime routine that helps to put you, like it begins the melatonin production and it puts you into that state where you're prepared to go to sleep. Now, one of the things that I think is obviously a great practice to do is something like gratitude journaling. Because I know for years I would have this. In fact, I literally suffered from insomnia for, I don't know, several years. Part of it was, of course, related to hormones, I think, and having babies and all of that. But there was a time period when I would lay down to go to bed and I would like lay there for 2 hours thinking about everything, just like round and round and round in my head. And a lot of it was worry or just thinking about random things, not even necessarily worrying, but it was just like random. And I was this is crazy. This is such a waste of time, And part of it I've shared before was I did also learn, like I read a book called The Power of When. I learned that me trying to go to bed when he went to bed was not a good plan because we have different chrono rhythms and he can be passed out at 9 p.m. no problem. If I try to go to bed at 9 p.m., I lay in bed for 2 hours because my ideal time to go to bed is like 11. right? So that was a part of it. But the other thing that's very helpful for me is now I'm intentionally, whether I write it on paper or in my journal or I just think it in my head, I'm doing this gratitude journaling, which, you can just do in your head. And I'll just lay there and think through my day and think about all the things I'm grateful for the day. And that's a process that just helps to settle your mind, helps you put you in the right state of mind so that when you're sleeping, you're restful instead of worrying or stressing. And if there is something I'm worrying or stressing about, well, I'm going to get out my journal and I'm going to write about it and get it out of my head before I lay down to go to sleep, because now my brain's like, okay, set that aside. Don't have to worry about it. I can sleep now. So, okay.